Hello everyone, in this video you will learn how to properly perform the low bar, high bar, and front squat. Each squat variation looks slightly different from one another due to the bar placement on your body. The position of the bar on your body will create a slightly different torso angle, but that's about it. At the end of the day, it's just a squat with weight, and if a certain squat variation feels better for you, then stick with it. With that said, let's get into the details. Before we get under the barbell, let's practice the squat without weight so that we can find our most optimal position. First, assume a stance with the heels at about shoulder width with your feet flat on the ground and toes pointed slightly out. On average, this is the stance that most people use, but not everyone is built the same, and if a different stance or toe angle feels better for you, then do it. From here, descend into a squat position by simultaneously bending at your hips and knees with your arms straight out in front of you for a counterbalance. Your knees should be going in the same direction as your toes, with your feet flat on the floor in perfect balance. Lastly, you should maintain a nice flat back during the entire movement. You have reached the bottom of the squat once your hip crease drops below your kneecap. Once you have reached full depth, drive through your feet until you reach a standing position again. Your most efficient squat stance is the one that allows you to achieve flat feet with perfect balance, full range of motion, and a consistent back angle throughout the entirety of the movement. If you don't have all three of these qualities in your squat, then play around with your squat technique and adjust accordingly. During the squat, I recommend picking one spot in front of you to stare at to have best balance. You can stare wherever you want, just try to avoid the extremes like looking up at the ceiling or down at your feet, as this will probably have a negative impact on your technique. Now that you know how to squat, let's talk about how to breathe and brace during the movement. While standing still, take a big breath and flex your midsection as if you're going to take a punch to the gut. Your midsection should be rock solid and impenetrable. You now know how to brace. You now need to apply this bracing to your squat. An analogy that I like to use is to pretend that you're going underwater during your squat. What I mean is, pretend that you are neck deep in water when you are standing upright. And just before you descend down into your squat, you will take a big breath and brace. You will hold your breath and brace all the way until you stand back up out of the imaginary water again, and then you will repeat. Your squat should look just like this when you're performing it. Now, let's go to the bar. Before you take the bar out of the rack, make sure you set up the safety pins at a level right below your squat so that if you can't get the weight up, then you can safely bail. When you come up to the rack, the bar should be at about mid-chest level. Having the hooks too high will force you to go on your toes to take the bar out of the rack, and having the hooks too low will force you to spend too much energy on the unracking process. In the low bar squat, the bar will be placed lower on your back as compared to the high bar squat. Take an even grip and get under the middle of the bar. Place the bar right on top of the rear delts and just under the traps. The rear delts are going to be the cushions that the bar will sit on and also prevent the bar from slipping down your back. Your thumbs can be above or below the bar. Your wrists can be flat or extended. All grips taken will vary person to person depending on shoulder width and flexibility. A tighter grip will allow a flexible person to better support the bar with the posterior muscles of the shoulders. A wider grip will allow an inflexible person to get under the bar more comfortably. The grip that you should take should be wide enough to allow you to get the bar into the proper position without feeling pain or discomfort. In the high bar squat, the bar will be placed higher on your back as compared to the low bar squat. Take an even grip and get under the middle of the bar. Place the bar right on top of the shelf created by your traps. The traps are going to be the cushions the bar will sit on, not your neck. For the high bar squat, I recommend a thumb around grip, as the thumb behind grip could potentially push the bar onto your neck during the squat. The wrists can be flat or extended. Just like the low bar squat, all grips taken will vary person to person depending on shoulder width and flexibility. In the high bar squat, it doesn't require a ton of shoulder flexibility to achieve a closer grip like the low bar squat, and a closer grip creates a bigger cushion by the traps for the bar to sit on. In the front squat, the bar will be placed in front of you as compared to the low and high bar squat. Take an even grip at about a thumb's distance away from the smooth part of the barbell or even a little further. You will place the bar on your front delts, which will be your cushions during the squat variation. To increase the cushion created by your front delts, push your elbows in front of the bar until they are pointing at the wall in front of you. The wrists will be slightly extended and all grips taken will vary person to person depending on shoulder width. During the front squat, it's important to note that the weight of the bar is being held by the cushions created by your shoulders, not your hands. If it is difficult or painful to achieve this front rack position, you can try crossing your arms above the bar to alleviate this discomfort. All in all, if you just work on the regular front rack position, you will adapt to it, so don't worry about it if it is a little uncomfortable at first. Whichever squat you've chosen, find your comfortable position under the bar, get into your squat stance, unrack it by standing up, and take about 2 steps back from the hooks, making sure you are still above the safety pins. All the same rules apply, just as they did when you squatted without the bar. The only difference here is instead of squatting with your arms out in front of you, they are holding on to the bar to stabilize it. If you're performing a low or high bar squat, your elbows should be tight to your sides and your forearms should be closely aligned with your torso. If you are performing a front squat, your elbows should stay pointed up toward the wall in front of you throughout the entire movement. When your set is complete, walk into the rack to slap the bar into the hooks, then drop the bar onto the hooks. Do not try to aim the bar onto each individual hook because eventually you will miss it. You now know the basics of the squat and its variations. The more you practice, the more fluid and efficient it will be, so be patient and have fun doing it.